For the What's up, everybody? How's everyone doing today? Thank you all so much for coming back. What's up, Mason?
What's up, my guy?
Not much, dude. Not much, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got Brian Payne, the man who always books the calls and asks the good questions. I watched that video. Yeah, I watched that video again the other day, bro. I was like, damn, that was good. You know, I love it. I said this last week, but you know, I love it when you guys book calls with me and you ask me challenging questions. The things we create together, not everything I do is like a cookie cutter response or anything. So like a lot of things I say to you guys, we're creating on the fly, we're working together. And I had an amazing call with Brian last week about lead scoring, following up with leads, working difficult leads. And it was
following up with leads.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And that's exactly what we're doing today, guys. We have a special guest in the house. We got Rick Howell joining us. Rick is amazing. He's going to talk to us about monetizing more leads and some strategies in order for us to do that. I said, that's perfect for my audience. I'm loading these guys up with leads, and I want all of you to have as many strategies as humanly possible to make sure you're making money. You know, a lot of people think like, you know, my service is pretty inexpensive, $1,000 to $1,500. Even if you made, and not, this isn't the goal for anyone, but even if you could turn a lead into $500 as opposed to zero, think about how that would change the trajectory. You could at least get the marketing for free, and then you close the big $30,000 deal. So monetizing everything that comes your way is exactly what our job is as investors. But I'm going to turn it over to Rick. Rick, thank you so much for coming in, man.
Nick, thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to sharing with everybody. Again, like he said, my name is Rick Howell, and we just have a small family-owned real estate investing business up here in a little town as far north as you can in Ohio called Toledo. We focus on Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. That's our bread and butter. And how I got into real estate was actually on accident. My background is as an electrician from 1996, and I went full-time in real estate in 2014. And why I share that with you is real estate wasn't it wasn't planned. It was completely accident. And how I got into it was I was actually on a job site working at a power plant. And at that time I was a baseball coach, and I had to leave early to go to coach a baseball game all the time. And the superintendent on the job would always tell me, hey, you know what, if you can't stay the full 12 hours, there's someone on the layoff list that'll come take your job tomorrow. And that's how the conversation went every single time. I didn't know it was going to be real estate, but at that time, there was a guy on the job that was flipping a couple houses on the side. He was just a rehabber, doing 3-4 deals a year, making probably, I think at that time he was over 6 figures a year on the side, doing it completely on the side. And I was really interested in that. He didn't know how to get me started or how to teach me, but what he did do is he gave me a book, which you have, I'm sure everybody's read. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Long story short, you guys have all probably read that book. That changed the entire game for us. So the reason I share that story with you is because most people get involved in real estate investing, and they start off doing the wholesaling and all the free lead thing, or the free no money needed to buy houses strategies. And we didn't do that. And it's not to say that that's wrong or right. It was just we didn't know. We came from construction background, so we jumped immediately into rehabbing. Now, did we do that properly? Absolutely not. It was an absolute shit show. We did it wrong the entire time until we hired our first coach, and it did not go well. But what we knew was the construction aspect of it. Did we make any money? No. But what I learned over the years of rehabbing houses, and once we got into some networks and some other like this one here, we learned what wholesaling was, and that just lit a new fire under us, because now we realize that we don't have to go through the pain and the contractors and all the stuff that goes along with rehabbing as one income source. So rehabbing was the way we got started, and then we evolved into more wholesaling. But the reason we're doing this call is I'm going to teach you how we learned to monetize 50% more leads that came through just by a few simple strategies. See, everybody is driving leads. We're cold calling, we're texting, however you're getting your lead sources right now. And a lot of us like to focus down on one niche, whether it's wholesaling or whether it's rehabbing or whether it's buying wholes. A lot of people focus down on that one thing, and we did too. But what I learned was there's a lot of times you can, number one, offer a better service to your clients by offering more strategies. And number two, make a boatload more money. And number three, give yourself more wealth opportunities to buy and hold and build long-term assets by understanding a few different strategies. So I don't know how many people in this group actually are licensed, but a lot of people always ask the question about, should I get my real estate license as an investor? And I tell people that's totally an opinion-based question, but my opinion is yes. And here's why. I don't know what market you're in or what towns you're in, but majority of cities that we've been in around the country have companies that do auctions. Does anybody, I mean, I can't see half of it. If you guys have auctions in your town, by a show of hands, you guys have auctions? Okay, I'm gonna give you one nugget that immediately added 6 figures to our business on accident with no work, right? So we're getting these leads, we're talking to these sellers, we're going through the process of negotiating deals, and the deal just doesn't work for you, right? Say you're a rehabber and you just can't get the numbers where you want, or you're wholesaling it and your buyers aren't buying those price points. We have learned, I call it ninja wholesaling. We have learned you partner up with somebody that's doing auctions in your company or in your area. And the way an auction work is, let me explain that first. The way an auction works is they go out and meet the seller, the auctioneers go out and meet the sellers. They talk about their auction process and on what they're going to start at. There's what's called an absolute auction, which means they start at $0 and they work their way up to a certain number. Well, the beautiful thing about this is the seller doesn't pay the commission for the transaction. The buyer pays the commission for the transaction. It's called a 10% buyer premium. Okay, so they're going to tack 10% onto the deal after they're all done. The beautiful part of that is when you refer that over to an auctioneer, you split that right down the middle. So our price points, we're in Toledo. Toledo is actually the #1 most affordable city in the entire country. So our numbers aren't that big. But I have friends down in Florida. I have friends over in Texas and California that are doing auctioneers. You tack 10% on a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, you're talking some serious money. And the only conversation, the only work that was done on your end as the investor is a simple conversation, running your numbers. And if you find out the numbers don't work for a wholesale deal, you simply make the connection between your auctioneer partner and the seller and let them do their magic, and you get a check when the deal closes. So that's one resource I highly recommend. But here's the key to that. You cannot get paid off a real estate transaction traditionally because the auctioneers are licensed. You've got to be licensed to get paid through the broker. Okay. So that's one caveat, that's one strategy for when people ask, should I get licensed? That's how we use our license. And that's strictly how we use our license. Now, I don't know if your size of your business, but we also have turned an arm into a retail side. I had my son go get his license recently, and we turned into offering another option for our sellers of if it doesn't work out for the auction, it doesn't work out to buy, it doesn't work out to wholesale, I refer it over to my son, do the exact same thing, split the commission 50-50. He builds a business off of his own on a retail arm. Again, you're making money off the marketing spend that you're doing anyways, off deals that don't necessarily work for the niche that you're in. So that's another avenue, is to partner with a real estate agent to where you can still get compensated and let them do the work. And the way that happened was I went to a coaching event back in 2016. At that time, I was already in real estate. We were rehabbing houses, and I went and got licensed because somebody told me to. They didn't tell me to with any strategy. They just told me to go get my license. So next thing you know, I got my license. I'm rehabbing houses. I'm chasing buyers and sellers around, trying to be a realtor. Or I didn't know what to, as an entrepreneur, most people in this group are probably ready, shoot, aim people like myself. I was just trying to figure it out. And one of my coaches said, hey, are you a realtor that invests, or are you a licensed investor? And that resonated with me immediately. And what I decided was I'm a licensed investor. So what I learned was different strategies on how to use that license to maximize profits, double, triple your income off of niches you might not necessarily have been doing to begin with. So the key there was partnering up with a real estate agent, turn some of the deals that don't work for you into listings. I promise you, if you do this and you do this consistently, your marketing spend will be taken care of in your sleep. But you could really create an entire arm of your business through the retail side by monetizing leads this way. And not only that is, I don't know if there's mostly virtual people in this group or people work belly to belly. We work belly to belly. So when we sit down with our sellers, we offer 3 to 4 solutions. Number one is as you saw the commercial, we can buy your property cash as is and be done in 10 days. Our other option is if that doesn't work for us, we have an auction arm of our business, and then we go into explaining the auction arm, hand that off, and then we're hands off. And the third one is actually my son here is licensed. Unfortunately, I can't pay you $500,000 for your house, but I think we can get you that on the open market. Would you like to hear more about that by talking to Keith? Either way it goes, you're paid for having the skill of having the conversation, generating the lead, and knowing where to send your client at the end of the day. So that's one avenue is getting licensed. Is there any, did I go too fast through all that? Can we get some feedback, some questions here on some of that topic there?
Hey, Rick, I'll mention something. I'm Kathy Nation from Georgia. I'm a licensed realtor as well.
Hi, Kathy.
I like the way you put that. I'm a licensed realtor. I will say one thing, a lot of folks ask me that the same thing, and I got into real estate first on the residential side. So when I partnered with Nick on the land, I do a lot of land flipping. I'm able to give them that same strategy, buy wholesale or list it because I'm licensed. The tricky part for me in my brokerage in Georgia is you have to disclose. Our brokers are real funny about you walking both sides of the line. And so sometimes I tell people to be, you've got to know where you're going to land more often. So you make sure that you're disclosing to your broker the right way and to the seller.
100%. And you know what? That's a good point. Just being upfront, open, honest, clear about everything right out of the gate makes for a much better transaction, and everybody's happy and everybody wins, right? When you disclose, hey, yes, I am licensed, we're going to go and we're going to try to buy your piece of land cash. We can make that work. But if it doesn't, if that doesn't, I mean, I wouldn't seed this too early, but if that doesn't work, we have option B and C where we can solve your pain. We just have to figure out what option we're going to do, right? I think that's awesome. That's good way to point that out. But yeah, the auction arm and the listing arm, the auction arm more has became such a valuable resource, because what you're doing is you're allowing them to put it to auction, but the people that are showing up are a slew of investors, and with that, there's no buyer's list, right? You don't need to worry about the buyer's list. The auctioneer has a buyer's list of, it seems like, 1 million, but there's no buyer's list. There's no chasing, dispo. There's none of that. You're going to bring the auctions, or you're going to bring the buyers to them. They're going to run the numbers up, and then they're going to get the deal to the finish line. And all you're going to do is get a check from your broker after it's all said and done. We're talking zero work, unless you'd like to show up at the auction and just network and meet people, which is also a good thing to do.
How do you have a document that ensures you do get paid once you connect the seller to the auctioneer house?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's just an agreement. It's not, I wouldn't call it an assignment, but it's just a referral doc. Yeah. And here's another one. That's a good point too. When you send this over, number one, you're going to build relationships. Our people that we work with, we've built relationships. We were actually the buyer when we first started investing. Auctions were a major resource to buy properties. But you're going to build relationships with these people, and then what you do is when you make the connection, you always send a email in the subject line, referral 123 Main Street. That way you have it in writing that everything's above board. But it becomes such a resource for people and yourself that you genuinely don't see anybody trying to pull some funny business, because they'd be crazy to, especially as many people as I don't know how many contacts you guys are making a day, but I know as investors, there's oftentimes we're connecting with, hundreds and thousands of people a day, not connecting with, but we're trying to connect with hundreds and thousands of people a day. And, just turning one extra way into generating income and solving their pain is a really good resource for people that are investing in real estate.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else has any other questions that they would like? You can either raise your hand or put it in the chat.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Rick, it never made sense for you to start your own auctioneer division, or be more worth it for you just to refer it over?
That is a great question. And I used to be, so I'm 46. And when I started all this at 30, I was the biggest shiny object individual you could ever come across, right? So there was a time that I thought about doing the broker, getting the license was actually a shiny object thing, right? But I thought about that. But with our brokerage here, we're partnered up with. It's a flat fee brokerage, pay $5,500 a year, flat fee. I'd rather them deal with all the stuff and all the things that go along with it. And plus, I don't want to deal with the work of actually being an auctioneer. I'd rather connect them with the professional. You know, our job is to drive the lead, connect them with the professional, let them do all the stuff that goes along with the auction department, and then just pay us on the back end.
Cool.
Yep. That's just my opinion. No, that's not to say it's wrong or right. It's just, our base is I'm a rehabber and a buy and hold guy. That's what we do. We're rehabbers and buy and hold guys. We stay in that bubble. Everything else we refer out to make money off of is just a bonus on top of that.
Your properties you're getting for your flips, are you getting them on market?
No, I've only bought one house off the MLS in 15 years. All of our deals come from, we have all outbound, just like you, texting and cold calling. And then we evolved into, we now run commercials as well. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Rick, I did have a question for you. As you were talking, you started looking more familiar. Do you have the ads on YouTube that run where you tell people if they scan the QR code, you'll send them an offer?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Nope, I don't. But we are we put a lot. We're heavy on social media, but I'm still ignorant to the whole YouTube thing. I did start a channel not too long ago.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I was like, man, you look like the guy that he runs a lot of ads, and I always see him every time I turn on YouTube. And I was like, is that him?
That'll be the next shiny object we jump at, right? Try to figure out.
Okay. And then my second question was going back to the auctioneer thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned that they charge a premium, you said, right? Like they charge the buyer auction premium, and then that's what you split with the auctioneer or the auction.
The way ours is set up is, so the auctioneers will charge a buyer premium. I'll just use easy numbers. Say the auction sells for 100 G's, right? The premium is tacked on top of that purchase price as a commission paid by the buyer. So if the house sold for 100 grand, the sales price would actually be 110 grand. And then that 10 grand is what you would split down the middle between the auctioneer and yourself.
Gotcha. Okay. And then you pretty much just do a referral agreement, and then that protects your interest in referring them and stuff like that. And then they put it on the MLS and all of that good stuff, right?
We handle all the marketing, and auctioneers have got, I mean, their buyers list, that's what they do. That's all they do for a living is buyers list and put properties in front of buyers. So their buyers lists are longer than, I mean, anything you could imagine. They'll let them put it out in front. Yeah. And so it's generally hands off. I mean, what we do with the auctions is we sometimes build a relationship. That seller, I mean, we market it as a part of our business. One of our services that we offer.
Right.
So they go A is the purchase, B is the auction side, C is list it. Yeah, A, B, and C.
Wow. And then my last question is, how do you recommend someone to, one, research auctioneers in their nearby prospective cities or states? Yeah. And then what's, one of the first things as far as like an introductory standpoint, what is some of the things that we should say in that first initial conversation when networking with them?
First thing is credibility in yourself and confidence in yourself. Because remember, auctioneers, regular realtors they're very transactional. And for someone in your market, not everybody, I consider us all as real estate investors. Everybody on this call is a lead generating machine, right? That's what we do. We make our money by knowing how to generate leads. So that's not normal for real estate agents. That's not normal for auctioneers. Auctioneers get their leads from realtors that have a house they can't sell, right? That's where they get their leads from. So the best place to find an auctioneer is connect with the bigger brokerages in town. Usually they'll have an auctioneer that keeps everything in-house. That's what we do. We have 3 or 4 main brokers in town here. Every one of them has their own auctioneer that handles all the auctions for that brokerage, right? And from there, while you're building the relationship, always make sure your paperwork's dialed in. And it's just a referral agreement. That's all it is. and make sure that it's someone that operates with the highest of integrity, because these people dealing with your auction or dealing with your clients, these are your clients, right? That you're referring them to. They called off your lead, they clicked on your website, you called them on the cold call, however they got to you. These are essentially your clients. You're offering the service of the auction. And if you're starting green and don't know any of these people, a great place to start would go to the board and find out who the auction companies are in your area, and then reverse engineer it back from there. Realtors will know as well too, because anybody who has a license, chances are they're referring out deals too, because it's the same thing for them. If they have a house, I'll just use an example. If they have a house that's been trashed by a tenant and has a bad foundation, obviously they can't put it on the MLS, but they can refer it to an auction and they can still monetize that lead for themselves as well.
Thank you so much for that.
You got it.
I have a quick question there too on because if the seller chooses option B, obviously they're fully aware you're auctioning off the property, but then you don't have to put it under contract at all, right? You just basically
there's nothing. There's zero paperwork at all. Okay. It's just simply a connection. I'd say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, hey, listen, unfortunately, it doesn't work for our buying. We have a buying process. It doesn't work for our buying system. The numbers are just a little bit too tight, and I think I can get you some more money with option B. Would you like to hear more about that? It's an auction. It's like, well, yeah, talk to me about that. And then you just simply explain how an auction works, where your partner is going to bring the buyers and seller, or the other buyers from the area, all to your front yard, or they're starting to go back in person again around the country. For a while there, where they weren't in person anymore, but now they're coming in person. And when they're in person, it always benefits the seller, because now you can create the competition factor right in the front yard. Yep, there's no contract at all. It's just a simple conversation, a recommendation. And remember, they're calling you, or you're calling, however they got to you. They have a need that needs to be solved, and your job is to solve that. So it's not necessary to put a contract in place with the seller.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I believe Damar has his hand raised next. Damar, go ahead with your question.
Okay, I had a Zoom call going. I had to mute it.
Damar, you still there? You can either put it in chat or you can unmute yourself. Okay. Damar, we can circle back to you. I don't know if you're still there. Anyone else have any other questions that they want to put in the chat, or you can raise your hand and unmute yourself. All right, I got another question for you, Rick. When you're buying your deals yourself, right? How do you go about structuring them? Do you do hard money, private money? What's your finance source when it comes to that particular thing?
That's a great question. Our business is so boring. We've done the same thing since the beginning of time, because that's all we knew. I use strictly private money. We built relationships with private money lenders over the years. And we've been using the same three individuals now since 2011 was the first time we ever borrowed private money. Yep. And then it kind of evolved into, now we have our own capital. We use credit lines off of our rental portfolio. That's how it is now. It's all private money. I've never used hard money. I don't even know how to use hard money. I know the concepts of it, but everything has been off of value relationships with other people. And once we back then, and now is best time ever to raise private money, guys. If you're questioning, or you're looking to rehab or want to raise capital, now is the best time ever. And why is that? It's because the stock market's like a roller coaster, right? So when you can shift your mindset a little bit, instead of how can I find money for my rehab projects, and focus on who can I help make money today, when you can focus on helping other people make money through your business, they'll be private money lenders to you forever. And we run a very simple base rate of 10 and 12%, usually 10. And they love it, because there's nowhere in the world that you can invest a straight 10% and get a consistent 10% return without the fluctuation going up and down, especially with everything that's going on in the world today. Yeah, but how we got started at the beginning was, again, we were ready, shoot, aim people. I didn't know anything, but I knew in that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, they talked about equity lines of credit. So we didn't have any money. As a construction worker, I was paycheck to paycheck. It made good money, but everything was paycheck to paycheck. But what my partner Kevin and I did have, we had houses. So the book talked about something about, I didn't know what an equity line of credit was, but the book talked about it. So we went to the bank and found out what a home equity line was, right? And we put a home equity line on both of our houses. Mine was for, I'll never forget it. Mine was for 40 grand. His was for about 60. So we had about 60 G's or 100 G's total to mess with. And we found a house. This was the one house off the MLS, the very first house we ever did, for $45,000 right up here in Southeast Michigan. We renovated it. And as construction workers, it wasn't pretty. I don't know if you've ever seen an electrician paint a wall, but it doesn't look great. But we got it done, and we put it on the market. We had an offer the first day, and we had it was on the market at $130,000. We had an offer the first day at $120,000. My realtor said, "Don't take that. You don't come down $10,000 on your first deal." Well, here's a lesson for everybody. We didn't come down $10,000 on our first deal. We sat on that thing for 6 months. We never got another offer. And then we ended up selling it for 99 grand. We walked out of there and Kevin and I put about 1,500 bucks each in our pocket on our very first deal we ever did. So that deal is what taught me to get my real estate license. I was like, man, I can screw that up on my own. I'm going to get my real estate license. And then I also learned that when rehabbing, usually your first money is your best money. There's all kind of lessons taught in that first deal.
So Benny, go ahead. I believe you have a question.
Yeah, I do. I think this was great information. Thank you for today. But my question is, how do I go about finding these private lenders? I've been hearing about private lender, but every time I talk to somebody, it's like, no, I'm not going to give you money. So,
brother, I'll tell you what, that right there, switch that, right? Here's a simple mindset shift. I remember sitting in my first real estate thing in Cleveland. It was like a 2-hour, somebody's preview, right? I didn't know what a preview was back then. It was a preview. And they were talking about exactly what you just said. And I'll tell you what, man, I was sitting there literally thinking to myself, who in the hell, I don't mean to cuss on this call, but there was some cuss words thrown around. This guy's crazy. Who in the hell is going to lend me 100 grand, 200 grand? I'm just an electrician. Nobody's going to give me any money. And that's exactly what we thought. And then he went into his presentation about private money lending. And he said one thing that changed the game. When you focus on helping enough other people get what they want, you will get what you want, right? And when I learned that, it wasn't about going out and looking for, I need to borrow money. But you think about it, if you go through your phone, I promise you that you have people in your phone that have a substantial amount of money sitting in their bank account. And when you know how to present it the right way, they see you as an asset. When you can make yourself look as an asset rather than somebody that just wants to borrow money, which all starts here. It doesn't start with them. It starts with you. You focus someone else on how they can make a double-digit return on their income. All it takes is for you to find one individual, give them one great experience. That's it. Anybody who you're borrowing money from, chances are birds of a feather flock together, right? If you're borrowing, say, $500,000 or $1 million, whatever it is, whatever number it is, if you're borrowing money from somebody to do deals, chances are they have those types of people in their network too. You give them one good experience where they make a 12% return on their money, they're going to talk. And then all of a sudden it turns into, now you got to do another deal. Now you got to do another deal. So it's just about getting momentum. And what will happen over time is the anxiety shifts from where do I find the money from where do I find my next deal? And now it turns into, holy shit, I got to find another deal. He wants me to spend more of his money. I can't give him his money. Every time you close a deal, the lender gets paid off. Well, they're like, hey, you got another deal? I need more. I need to put my money back to work. Now it turns into the game changes. So instead of how do I find the money, how do I keep all their money busy? And that's what you want. But it all starts with how you focus on helping other people make money through what you do. That starts with us rather than going out and looking for money. And then having the heart to talk to them and ask them, and I could give you a few different, little ways to have conversations and things like that. Just simply asking, how's your money working for you right now? And if you like, this is really good. I make these little reels and stuff online. I can make a few little videos and put out there strictly about this, about how you initiate a conversation to find private money lenders. Because it usually just starts with, how's your money working for you right now? And if they know anything about anything, money sitting in the bank right now actually loses about a lot a year. Inflation's at what, 7 or 8? So your money is actually losing multi percentages a year just by sitting in the bank, because the bank's only paying you 0.03, 4, or 5%. Well, inflation's 8%, it just doesn't match. So they're actually losing money by having it in the bank. When they can park it with you and have it backed by an asset that you're going to renovate that say is worth $200,000 and you're going to buy it for 90 grand, that's the sweet spot. Are you rehabbing, or what kind of deals are you doing?
I'm trying to do wholesaling for now. I haven't done rehab yet.
Oh, well, that's fine. Yeah. While you're building your wholesaling business, just meet people right now. Your job is to meet people. Just meet people right now. Don't worry about locking down the private money lender. If you're wholesaling, just continue meeting people in the industry, and especially in groups like this. There's people in groups like this you build relationships with. You need to do a $100,000 deal. Find a way to do a joint venture with somebody. Partner up with somebody to do deals. That's a great way to get started too, is working with other investors. Create one story is all you need to do. When it comes down to doing deals with other lenders, all you need to do is create one story. That'll turn into 2 stories. And then it'll turn into 3 stories. And then the credibility will begin taking off for you. And you know what? Since we're talking about this, if I could go back and change anything, I'm an old man, right? If I could go back and change anything 15 years ago, I would have learned faster about the power of social media and putting your story out there. Let people see what you're doing. I would have started that back when I first learned about social media. That was one thing I would do, because that helps build credibility as well. So if you're flipping a house, if you're doing a real estate deal, if you're walking a property, go ahead and throw it on Facebook when you're out walking your property. Tell people what you're doing. Let people see what you're doing.
Thank you. I had a quick question in regards to that first deal that you did with your private money lender, right?
Yeah.
Was there any nervousness going through that first transaction, knowing that someone just lent you X amount of dollars and you have to make sure that the deal is successful? Can you talk about the mindset of that first deal and how it went using someone else's money for the very first time?
So not really, because I was confident in the fact that we got the house so cheap. And I knew that we were doing all the work ourselves. Where I messed up was, or me and Kevin both messed up was, we didn't have any education on anything. Like, we didn't have any, the term private money lending came from a book. Like, there was no YouTube videos, none of that. We just did it. And as a matter of fact, here's a good funny story for you. Y'all get a kick out of this. Talk about the financially illiterate. We knew we wanted to pay a 10% return because that's what the book said. Okay. We didn't know what the word annualized meant. So we were given a 10% return of the whole number. So it didn't benefit us at all. So what I mean by that is, we borrow 100 grand, they're getting 110 back, right? Didn't matter if we had the money a week or a year, they're getting 110 back. So yeah, I didn't learn what the term annualized was until well deep into our business. And then we learned that, oops. Did something just pop up? Ricky Simmons. Okay. We didn't learn what the term annualized meant for years into our business. So our private money lenders were loving us, man, because we were paying so much money. Whether we had the house for a month or a year, they were making 10%.
Wow. Not bad. Yeah. Anybody else have any other questions or want to put it in the chat for Rick?
Yeah, Rick, I have a question. Sorry about that pop-up. I was just trying to find the hand button to raise my hand.
All right.
You said you got one deal off the MLS. I know some folks purely get deals off the MLS. What is kind of your experience? Are you going to stick with off market? Are you going to try to get deals on the MLS, or?
All the above, brother. So every morning, our daily strategy is, my son gets in the MLS every single morning, and we look every single day. The only reason, I mean, I'm in Toledo, Ohio, right? There hasn't been, people talk about the different market shifts and all that. People come from all over the entire world to buy property here. If any of you guys want to do deals, wholesale or whatever here, I mean, I got people in masterminds. Everybody's coming to Toledo, Ohio, because it's the most affordable city in the country. So there hasn't been a shift as far as a major thing sitting on the market on the MLS. If you put it on the MLS, you're gonna have 40 showings in 2 days. That's why it's hard to get them off the MLS, because they're so cheap anyways. Investors come to park their money here from all over the planet.
Yeah, I've been trying to crack into the Columbus market, and I've got a realtor I'm working with. Now I've put out so many offers, and I'm telling you, man, everybody is getting list plus. I mean, these are properties that need work too.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
was just shocked. I'm being outbid left and right.
I would stay depending on what your marketing budget is. I don't know that. If you have the resources to stay off market, I would go off market. Or Columbus is a huge market, man. Columbus is a great place to go plug in the networking events. There's quite a few people down there. Plug in the networking events and connect with other wholesalers. If you're looking to, are you looking to buy yourself?
I'm looking to flip.
Okay, beautiful. I would immediately, if I was you, I would jump on the different investor groups down there and go plug into some networking groups and meet some people.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's some names I could give you too. I know lots of people down there that are doing deals, but primarily the players that are doing a lot of deals down there usually are getting them from wholesalers nowadays because they're already doing all the marketing anyhow.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that'd
Thank
be
you. Appreciate that, buddy.
yeah, anything you need, man.
Terrence asks, what's the average time frame you keep their money, and also how do you guarantee their money?
Okay, good question. So let me start with the guarantee. The number one, property guarantees the money, right? That's the first thing is make sure you're buying right. How long do we have the property, or how long do we have the money? It usually varies. So I'm glad you asked that. Let me clear this up a little bit. The way you want to structure when you're using private money lending is a deal by deal basis. Meaning, if I'm going to do 123 Main Street, usually for our rehabs, we want to be in and out in 6 to 7 weeks, on the market, sold in 8. But what happens is once it's closed, the title company will then pay off the lender, just like a regular bank. They'll pay off a lender with their interest and everything. They'll come sign a release. I'll explain that here in a second. And then you take that money and you start over on a next deal. You never want to take your money and roll from deal to deal to deal to deal to deal. You want to totally close out a transaction and then take that and move it on to the next deal. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So you don't think that you're just using the same money ongoing. You want to do them all as an individual transaction. Now, how do you protect their money? First off, there's 3 documents. There's the mortgage, which the mortgage is just, it's no different than any mortgage you would get from a bank, Fifth Third Bank or whatever. It's just a mortgage protecting their interest with your asset. And the reason this is important is because if something happens to you, they're protected. This was one of the things that we went on from 2010 through 2015, I think. Just simply, we used to just make an agreement, shake hands, and just do the deal. And then what happened was my lender had asked me one day, he's like, I was thinking about this. What if something ever happens to you and we're doing these deals? And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good point. We didn't have anything protecting us. It was all just a handshake. Well, then we got educated on the mortgage, the promissory note. The promissory note is just a document that then gets recorded with your county that protects the interest. The promissory note, the mortgage, protect the asset or protect the interest of the lender, and also protect you. Because keep in mind, not every private money lender is somebody you want to work with. And I'll talk more about that here in just a second. The last art document is your insurance. So you want your mortgage, your promissory note, and you want to get homeowners insurance, construction insurance with your lender as the first named on the insurance, what's it called, policy, the first insurance policy. That way, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. If anything ever happens to the house, your lenders are paid back first. So we have a whole presentation on how we do this. So how sexy is that when you share that and they're trying to decide on whether they want to invest in the stock market or they want to invest with Mr. Investor that's going to protect them with a mortgage, a promissory note, and they're even going to insure their money. Does the stock market insure your money? Absolutely not. So that's how you protect their money.
Right. So thank you for that answer, Rick. I think someone else asked, can you recommend more places and explain how you analyze them? I don't know if can you
More places.
I don't know if you want to unmute yourself just to add more context. Or you can put it in the chat, either or.
More neighborhoods. how to analyze neighborhoods. Is
I
that
guess
the-
like maybe like deals, or how you analyze deals to know that it's a good deal, maybe.
Okay, good question. So here's our model. Not to say it's right, but it's safe. I'm a chicken shit, right? I'm very conservative when the way we do our business. We don't do anything outside of a first time home buyer price point. So the way we analyze where we want to do deals in our market is, first off, we're local. We're belly to belly. We've built a very strong personal brand in our local area. I highly recommend it. The other thing is when I decide on what price points we want to be in, I will simply connect with a couple major players that are mortgage lenders, not agents, because they're going to try and sell you a house. Mortgage lenders that are working with buyers. And I want to know, what price point are all your applications coming in? What price point are people applying for houses? They're going to say, well, here's our percentage of 300 plus. Here's our percentage from 250 to 3. And they're going to tell you where all the buyers are. And wherever all those buyers are, that's how I'm structuring my marketing campaign. I want to go where all the buyers are. And in our market, that happens to be anything under 300. For ARVs. Find out. So always go throw your lure in where the biggest school of fish is, right? Absolutely, no problem. You got it.
Rick, I also had a question that you mentioned in regards to one of your strategies is buy and hold in Toledo. Do you guys have pad splits out there? Have you ever heard of pad splits?
Yeah, I have heard of them. I'm not familiar. I've never done one. I've heard of the strategy, but I've never done one.
Oh, okay. Is it popular out there, or is it not really?
Not our little network of investors is everybody's out of town. It's all virtual. People are all out of town. You have a lot of old school mom and pop people that own a bunch of real estate. One of my mentors that's helped me in the buy and hold game actually runs his entire business right around the corner from Nick's house over there in St. Pete. But yeah, there's a lot of out of towners.
Gotcha. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, the population's around 250, so it's small. But these are the type of markets where, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, I always recommend for people to start where your feet are at and build out from there, because being belly to belly and building a local brand for yourself, you can produce such big spreads and great deals and more consistent deals.
Nice. And with you guys being belly to belly, can you talk about more so your KPIs and stuff like that, and how you break them down as, you and your son and stuff like that, just so we can kind of get a perspective?
Yep, we like to drive. So we operate this whole thing. We have our cold caller. Her job is to produce 3 leads a day, and she calls. I learned it's wasteful calling for anywhere between. We call from 1 o'clock until 7 p.m., but nothing really happens till from 4 to 7. 4 to 7. It's a very blue collar market here. People are working till 4 or 5 o'clock. It's a very blue collar market here. So 4 to 7 is our biggest activity. We try to drive 3 leads off of the cold calling platform a day. And then we use a texting platform, and we try to drive 2 to 3 off of that a day as well. Yeah. Nice. But I will say this, after a long time, we did evolve over into doing TV commercials. Now, I don't recommend this early on. It's been 15 years and we finally evolved into TV commercials. That comes with the whole personal brand thing. When you can get your name out there and people know who you are, that way when you're texting, you're saying, hey, this is Rick from Howell Properties, 123 Main Street, whatever. But when you have your brand on there with your text or with your call, and they can say, hey, I'm calling in regards to 123 Main Street. I work with Howell Properties over here in Toledo. It just kind of all ties together. The cold calling and the texting is 3 leads per day for 5 days a week. And then the other recent one that we've just started experimenting with was we've been tying all that together with Facebook ads recently too.
Sweet. And then do you track like either your conversion rate or how many leads it takes for you to get a contract type of deal?
Yeah, we're very plain. I like to try to buy a flip a week. We want to try to do 2 to 3 deals a week. Now, 2 to 3 deals for us can be anything. It could be a rehab, it could be an auction, it could be a list. But we want to do 2 to 3 a week. With the goal of, by the end of the year, we want to renovate. Let's see, last year we did 14 or 15. Yeah, the goal of this year is to get up to 20 rehabs a year.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But you said 14 to 20.
20, we want, yeah, the goal is to do 20 flips a year, 20 rehabs a year. We're on pace right now to do 4 or so auctions a month. And I think my son's up to, I think we're pushing 17 or 18 listings so far this year. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not one of these, and I tell people that it's not one of these businesses, oh, we're doing 50 deals a month or all that. It's not that. But if you run lean, you're driving great leads with Nick. You just run lean and know how to monetize those things. You don't have to have a bunch of employees and all these other different things you got going on. You can make $1 million with just you and maybe 1 or 2 team members.
Someone asked in the chat, do you buy promissory notes?
Never done it. I would if the money makes sense. I would. Never done it.
Damar, you have your hand raised again? No.
Yeah, I keep jumping off. That's why. How you guys doing? I came on late though. Do you buy anyone buy lots in Port St. Lucie that's a double lot that can be subdivided?
Say that one more time, Damar.
Do you buy lots that can be subdivided in Port St. Lucie, Florida?
Unfortunately, I don't do anything in Port St. Lucie. Nope, I'm up here in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan.
Okay. How about you, Francisco?
Yeah, I may have a buyer for you. But we could chat offline about that if it's about land. Do you know what part of Port St. Lucie is in? Is it Southwest?
Yeah, it's off Southwest. I got it on a contract, but when I sent it to my buyer and he looked at it, he said because he can't subdivide, he's not gonna take it.
How much do you have it on the contract for?
223.
223?
Yeah.
Okay, I just put my number in the chat. You could just text me and then I'll help you take a look at it.
Okay, because I want to talk to someone before I reach out for a price reduction. He said he can take it for 145 though, but I'll reach out to you after this.
Okay, perfect.
All right, thanks.
Mhm. All right, anyone else have any other questions?
Is there people in this group doing deals down in Florida? You?
Guilty.
Let's hook up sometime, man. I'm looking to. I just came back from St. Pete last night. I'm down there about once a month right now for a week, and we're looking at in the Newport Richey area.
Okay,
So
nice.
it's still affordable up there.
Gotcha.
And even the Tarpon Spring, anywhere in those areas.
Nice.
Man, maybe we'll find a way to make some money together.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I got your contact information. That was me texting you in the chat, in the group chat. So
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, let's do it, man. We started off 4 years ago. I had moved down and got an apartment down in downtown St. Pete, and then was there 60 days and the pandemic hit, right? Obviously, we pulled that plug and threw all the fuel on our Ohio fire. Thank goodness, because the numbers down there quadrupled like in 5 minutes. So
right.
So now it's starting to roll again. I'd like to do some things down there.
Perfect. And I have actually, now that you mentioned, I have a question. Do you ever do like joint ventures on projects with other investors? And if so, what does that look like?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I will, but I'm very, 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 very picky on control of it. I've only done, I partnered up on one deal, the only virtual deal I've ever done. I partnered up on one deal in Indianapolis. We were supposed to clear, I don't know, it was ridiculous money, and we ended up losing $250,000. And what I learned was the experience from the other investor. He didn't have the experience that I was sold on. That was my bad for not doing my due diligence deep enough, other than just going off of trust. And I mean, I thought I knew the guy. And so I would be open to it. I would just make sure that everybody's protected a lot more in depth than what I did the first time, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
And I don't know.
I can control the rehab, it's even better. I mean, my background's construction, right? That's what I've done it for 30 years. So I feel a lot more comfortable when I can control the systems and processes for the rehab or whatever's going on. When I can control the construction process, I think everybody's better off that way.
Gotcha. Now, with deals that you do virtually, how do you go about delegating the rehab crew or the construction crew? Is that something you just reach out and ask for a referral? Like, what's your process with that?
So I would build it the same way we did here. And actually down in Newport Richey, we have a connection if we end up going that route. My son's college roommate, his mother runs the whole city, right? So there's she has the connections with the inspectors and all that. They're on her staff. So that's one resource. Other than that, here, the way we did it, and here's what I recommend for anybody investing in real estate: your best resources, your best contractors, your best vendors are going to come from referrals from other people that are operating a successful real estate investing business. So everybody that we have in our network of everybody, pretty much of our entire business, has been referred to me by someone else in the real estate investing world in our market. So I would just duplicate that, whatever market that we went to. I would try to connect with other investors that are doing things that I know, liked, and trust, and just start there. Understanding that, building a contractor base it takes time. It takes time, especially in today's world. The work ethic isn't quite what it used to be. So it takes time. But once you get those, you treat them like you love them to death, treat them great, pay them fast, on time. Everybody wins.
Nice. Someone also asked or clarified, I guess, the question in regards to, let's just say you're doing deals virtually, right? How do you go about analyzing the markets or areas and choose them from your start to researching?
I would go off growth. I would go off growth and find out what's bringing people there, what's making people leave. First off, that would be the very first thing I would do. And then once I started doing that on myself, I would go there and I would plug into investor groups and I would start meeting people. So I'm kind of different. Maybe I'm more conservative, like we said, but I wouldn't jump right into a virtual market. I would really take the time to get to meet people and know people in that market before I planted roots. That's how I would handle it. I would try to plug into other people doing deals there, maybe find a way to help somebody else that's doing deals there, help somebody with their marketing, help somebody with their management, whatever they have going on. Just get to know people in that market before you went all in. And that's because 10 years ago, I'd have told you the opposite. I said, just show up and start doing deals. Well, that never goes quite the way you want it to go.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think when it comes to analyzing markets, I mean, there's many different indicators that people use to determine, what to go after. I always let people know that the information that we look at is probably or is way different than like institutional investors. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but do you know what type of data they look at compared to what we look at? Or
so we've got big companies like BlackRock and that coming all over here trying to buy up the whole friggin' Toledo's 68% rental, if that tells you anything. So yes, they're coming and looking for, number one, ROI, like number two, the vacancy rates. Number three, what's bringing people and what kind of market is it? So they found that the blue collar, factory type, high medical, those types of areas are a lot of rentals. They love buying them up. The areas that are more high dollar, like the area of St. Petersburg, I've been studying that for so long. 10 years ago, you can get a house down there for under 100 grand. Now that 100 grand house is 600, 700,000 bucks. So the rental market is shifting for anybody that is selling in today's game because everything's so expensive. But the people that owned back then when they were so cheap, they're still making a killing on all the rentals because the houses were so cheap. So I would also look at your median price points too and see, are you getting a lot of institutional investors, they'll buy anything off the 1% rule. You hit that 1% rule, which means if it's $100,000 house they're going to pay for, they want it to rent for $1,000 a month. That's a simple way of looking at the 1% rule. There's more investors from all over the country that simply buy off of that one rule than anything I've ever seen. And I personally, it's too tight for me. I would never buy off the 1% rule, but that's what the big time high volume buyers are buying off of.
do you ever work with them, or do you just kind of like, do you ever work with them, or do you more so compete with them is a better question?
No, it's more, I would say more of I don't know if it's compete, because they buy off the MLS, because you can get those kind of numbers off the MLS. They'll just buy off the MLS. I don't think it's more of competing, because they're not doing outbound or inbound marketing. They're just coming in and buying whatever they can get their hands on. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
There's a lot of wholesalers I know that have built very successful business off of working with hedge funds. Those are hedge funds and things like that. They build very successful businesses off of that. But when you do that, it's like it's great when it's great. But when the market shifts, it goes away like that, right?
Right.
I would just say be consistent with your outbound marketing and just keep doing your own deals. But I don't look at anything as competition. There's so many investors out there that, you know, they come and go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody else have any questions as we're nearing the end of this amazing call? Rick has given a lot of information, so thank you again for that, Rick.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Yeah, I would just say, guys, if you're building a business over time, you want it to be as boring as possible, right? As boring as possible, as simple, very repetitive. If you're doing a wholesale deal, build it so as the transaction gets the accepted offer all the way to the finish line, built it like it's a product going down the assembly line. And if you're rehabbing a house, same thing. From the second you close to the second you sell it, treat it like it's a product going down the assembly line. If you ever look at any of our social media or whatever, you'll notice our houses look exactly the same, every single one. It never changes. And that's because we want it to be, we want to be able to rehab a house when I'm sitting on the beach in Florida or something and I have to worry about it, you know, make it that boring, that repetitive, and you'll make the most money.
Great. My last question for you, Rick, is in regards to you mentioning, you know, you being on the lookout for deals in Florida, Newport Richie, what's that trifecta over there?
Tarpon Springs,
Tarpon Springs, Newport Richie, all of those areas, right?
Yeah, man. I would look at all of it, and at the very least, it gives me an excuse to come down here and look at them again, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. You let me know, man. I would love to. I really believe that area. So when you look at the numbers, when the shutdown and all that happened, it's like St. Pete was the Mecca. It was like the center of everything. Now you go down to Fort Myers and all that, the numbers are like there's things sitting on the market. There, a lot of people bought way too high. St. Pete still very aggressive, but you get up above Clearwater, past Dunedin and all that. The big price increases haven't really hit the Newport Richie or the. I mean they've had price increases, but not as drastic as everywhere else.
Right. Yeah. And I think those areas are they're not as big as St. Pete. Like they're smaller in population, but to your point, it's more blue collar over there too as well. So,
yeah, it's true. I think Newport Richie, that little honey hole's only got like 25,000 people in it, man. But again, it was like 80% rented. Perfect place to just go buy up all these little, ran down houses and the little boxes, man. Anybody could flip a little box, 1,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, and you can make a ton of money down there.
100%. Sweet.
Yeah, if I can help anybody with anything, don't be afraid to shoot me a message. I'm on all the social media stuff. I'll help any way I can. I mean, we have all kind of, again, there's nothing too exciting. It's kind of boring, but the leverage that, try that. If you're licensed or you know somebody who's licensed, whatever, try that auction thing, man. And if you are working with private money lender, here's another little quick one. If you are working with private money and you're evolving over into rehabbing or whatever that looks like, try to, there's another way where you can take the deal down, buy the deal, and do what's called a wholesale deal, where you buy it, clean it out, dust it up real quick, and put it right back on the market. You can make substantial amount of money doing that too. Wholesale deals.
Nice. Rick, if you want to put your either your social media handles where people can connect with you at, or if your email, if you want to drop your email, whatever information you want to give out so people can connect with you if they have any questions.
Put it in the chat.
Yep. Either drop it in chat or you could let us know.
Yeah, just throw it. It's just Rick Howell REI if you want to throw it out for me. Rick Howell REI, and that's on I'm learning TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So any one of them.
You said Rick REI?
Rick Howell, RICKHOWELL REI.
Sweet.
Yep. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I appreciate Francisco, REI, put the I behind it.
Oh, REI, I'm sorry.
Yep, you got it.
Rick Howell, REI. Perfect.
Yeah, and keep pressing those leads. The machines that Nick's built, man, outbound marketing, if you're automating it and you got leads coming to you, just become the expert at talking to sellers and solving pains. I just let the lead gen flow, and you just be an expert at talking to sellers and solving problems, and you'll be, I mean, you can't win or you can't lose that way. The art is understanding how to talk to sellers. Let the professional figure out how to drive you the lead. You just become an expert at talking to sellers, and you'll go a long way.
I have one question before we go.
Yeah.
Who is a hotel the same as Novation? Oh, it's two different things.
No, two different things. A hotel deal is just simply buying the house, cleaning it up, maybe getting the stuff out of it and putting it right back on the market.
Oh, okay. Innovation, just do a little cosmetic and okay. All right, thanks.
Yep, good question. But that's also a really good way too, if you're getting your feet wet with a private money lender and you're not doing a full rehab where you got to deal with contractors and all that. It's a good way to get your feet wet with a private money lender. Maybe do a hotel deal, even give them maybe an equity split. So we're going to give them 25% of the profit or whatever it is to build that relationship. Give them one good experience. That's the key. Give a lender one good experience and it'll take off for you.
Okay. Because I'm negotiating one right now in Florida. She's having like a real estate sale, but she's stuck at 329. I want to give her like 280 because it's in good condition. Just need to bring it to 2024 standard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She gonna take it?
Nah, she's not budging. So I'm trying to do a novation with someone.
Okay. All right. Share with her did you share with her the value of what a realtor would cost?
Yeah, I told her about the closing costs and commission. I showed her the comps and all that.
Maybe the pain isn't bad enough yet. Stay with her.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep following up.
Cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, Rick, thank you so much again for blessing us with, again, a lot of your knowledge, your information, and the gems that you dropped today. Much, much appreciated. Thank you for answering our questions as well, too. Hope
Yeah,
you
if you
guys
guys ever
got a lot of
hesitate to
value
reach
from
out.
it. Sweet. All right, Rick. Well, thank you again so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. The recording will be up soon, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good day, guys.